and welcome on this glorious Labor Day weekend to Exiting the Huddle with Dan and Jacob. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jacob. And today we're going to be talking about, foremost and formally, last week games. Who are disappointments? Who do we think overachieved? We'll also be talking about our predictions for next week. Anything else we would like to talk about today, Dan?
Some lackluster performances that happened over the weekend.
I can attest to that.
And then upsets.
There wasn't many, but there was a few.
There was a few. So let's huddle up.
Let's go.
All right. So on Saturday we had our opening day, if you will, of college football. Started at 11 a.m. with Clemson going to Atlanta to take on Georgia. I'll be honest with you.
Who'd you pick for that game?
I picked Clemson.
Who did I pick?
You picked Georgia.
I picked Georgia. And I'm going to stand behind that. And I still will argue with you on this one. I think that Georgia team is dangerous. I think they are able to run the table in the SEC. And again, like I said, I think the ACC is a little bit weak this season.
So, the Clemson held Georgia to 0 points in the first quarter.
What was the final score?
And 6 points in the second quarter.
But what was the final score?
34-3. It's. I'm just saying.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Building on that, on what Clemson was able to do to Georgia in the first two quarters, the higher caliber team. What a higher caliber team? What if they score 21 points and they go into halftime 21-6?
Okay, let's be real here. Let's talk about our bread and butter here. Ohio State.
Yeah.
How'd they start out? How was that first quarter? Not great.
Dismal.
What was 7-3?
Yeah.
How'd that game end?
52-6.
Exactly. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And even if you are a Power 5 school and you are one of the top dogs, I will say this every single time, and I will yell this until my lungs run out. Any given Saturday, anything can happen. But if you are the better team, you generally come out on top. And I will say that, what is it, 34-3, Clemson, Georgia?
Yeah.
I think that says a lot for Clemson. I think it says a lot for Georgia. Now, necessarily, do I think that Georgia has now solidified themselves of that number one spot? No. Do I think that they deserve a top 5? Absolutely.
Top 3 for sure.
Top 3 for sure. I think they're going to keep number 1, because they beat a number, 14?
Number 14, Clemson.
Number 14, Clemson. And Clemson, they got that dog in them. Not nearly as much as Georgia.
Literally.
They got the Georgia dogs. And, I think out of both of these teams, I think you have a takeaway from both. I think, Georgia has to come out, hey, we didn't really play that well. We won, and we won by a fairly large margin. But we didn't go out what we wanted to do. And I think the same thing goes for Clemson. Clemson goes, hey, we didn't get blown out. We held our own for half that game to the number one team in the nation. And I think you hang your hat on that. And I think that's what you go into to next week and the rest of the season. Now, by and large, my argument to this is week 1.
Mm-hmm.
No one comes out sharp week 1.
I beg to differ.
99% of the time, unless you're Ole Miss.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you see that Ole Miss game?
Ole Miss or Alabama this week. Do you come
dropping 70s?
Do you come out that hot?
I think Ole Miss came out that hot because Ole Miss is that hot.
I agree. Jackson Dart is he's one of my now sleepers for the Heisman. Now we'll see as the season progresses. I think he has all the talent in the world.
Everybody can say whatever they want about Florida Alabama,
That
Georgia.
Florida Miami game was kind of disappointing.
Yeah. But you can say all you want about the bigger SEC teams. Texas. Ole Miss went in Saturday and handled business. They handled their business. But another lackluster performance for me, Ohio State. Ohio State's offensive line. We talked about this during the game. Their offensive line, they couldn't stop toddlers.
Yeah, it was kind of rough. But by kind of rough, it was rough. Looking at that, especially with that high caliber of offensive line and those players that we have at Ohio State. Defense looked good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Defense looked good. Defense wins championships, but offensive line was a little rough.
I know that they started Tegra there at right guard. He's a freshman. But when your coach says that he thinks you're ready, you should probably show up ready. And that offensive line looked like the same offensive line that played Missouri on December 29th.
And I can agree to that, but I also do think, again, like I said, this is week 1. You got to shake off the rust a little bit. Watching that game going on live, I will say this about Akron. Their defense came to play.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the same level of talent as Ohio State. You know, as a lot of these teams playing week 1. You normally schedule a cupcake week 1.
Akron far from a cupcake.
That being said, Akron played Ohio State very well.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that they weren't, you would think that's a bottom tier Big Ten team.
Oh yeah.
You would have thought that was a Northwestern. Illinois, like Purdue or something. Indiana, yeah. You know, you would have thought, like, just how hard they're hitting, how fast they're getting to the ball, how they were just stopping who I've said is one of my probably top 5 people to win the Heisman. Quinshaw Judkins only had 65 yards.
Yeah. It looked like both him and Travion Henderson had trouble getting started.
You know who did look good, though? Like, if we're talking about Ohio State and running backs? Peoples.
Yeah. James Peoples?
James Peoples looked amazing. And that he's a true freshman, and he did not look like he was a true freshman. You know what else true freshman looked really good?
Jeremiah Smith.
Absolutely. That man.
That man's going places.
He put on a clinic.
Yeah.
Granted, it's Akron. With that being said, dude still had 150 yards, 2 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Absolutely. There
another person who looked really good, Carnell Tate.
What's Tate play?
Wide receiver. He was the one who caught that curl and then ran for 40 yards for a touchdown.
Do you know what play I was really excited to see from that game? And that player, when he got that block, you know what I'm talking about. He got up and he just was like, Travion Henderson with that block for that screen pass where he just laid out there a linebacker.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
He put him to the ground.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was dope. I loved watching that. So let's go to the other lackluster performance that I saw. Oregon had Idaho coming into town. That was a very lackluster performance.
That was rough.
It was rough to watch.
I did not watch the game.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Their offensive line looked like they'd never played a college football game. Their receivers were messing up. I think they had a sophomore receiver go out for a screen pass. He turned around and the ball was thrown like 7 feet in front of him. Like Dylan Gabriel was looking for him to cut up the field to catch the ball in stride, and he looked like he didn't know what he was doing. That being said, 21-14 or 24-14, yeah. 7 in the first, 7 in the second, 10 in the fourth quarter for Oregon.
Well, what was the spread? 48.5?
Yeah, 48.5.
Yeah, they definitely didn't do that. And honestly, not even watching the game, looking at the score, that is not an Oregon team.
They didn't look like the number 3 team in the country. They look like the number 10, number 12 team in the country.
You're playing Idaho.
I know.
That's an FBS school now.
Yeah. But
Granted, as Idaho has went to the FBS, they've become a lot better. Maybe that was a statement game for Idaho. Maybe they wanted to go out and punch Oregon in the mouth. And if they did that, they succeeded.
giving them a piece of humble pie.
I mean, they didn't win, but they didn't get blown out.
Right. How about another game? This game happened on a Thursday night, I think. The Colorado and North Dakota State game.
That game, in my honest opinion, if you look at it from either side of the ball, I'll give my North Dakota first. I think their coach should have went for it a little more aggressive in that fourth quarter when they were that close. I think other than that, I think they played a very solid game, and they should have absolutely beat Colorado because on the other shoe, Colorado was really sloppy. There was a lot of undisciplined plays, a lot of penalties. Outside of Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter, they weren't that good.
No.
It was a rough game to
You
watch.
had Ballard, who was the running back for Ohio State last year, transfers out to Colorado to try to make a difference, and he was shut down too. And Jake Ballard is one of the better running backs. Like I have to give it to him. He went somewhere who was going to play him. I can't fault the man for that. He went there. North Dakota State. I don't think they should be an FCS school anymore.
I think it's time for them to go to FBS. I think we need a North Dakota school in the FBS. And also, I'm going to say this. I think South Dakota State. I think both those teams should go up.
Yeah.
Mountain West school, Pac-12 school, what have you.
You can add both of them to the Mountain West.
I think they would be great additions. There's actually a couple other schools that played very well. And one of my picks, even though, they handled them and they almost covered the spread, I'm looking at Linwood. Linwood and KU. What was it? 48-6?
Yeah.
48-6. That was their first ever loss.
No, 48-3.
Was it 3?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was okay. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. 48-3. KU didn't cover the spread. They didn't look that good in the first half. The first quarter. Second quarter, it got a little out of hand. Real quick.
27 points in the second
Real
quarter.
quick, yes. It got real bad real quick. Fun fact, that was Lindenwood's first ever loss to an FBS team.
Was it their first time playing one?
I don't know, but that's the stat I saw. I thought KU came out a little flat with all that talent and all those expectations to win the Big 12. Am I disappointed? No. Am I a little disappointed? A little bit.
A little bit.
It's a smidge. Win's a win, but when you're going out and playing an FBS school in your Division I top 25 team, you need to put the hammer down. Like Alabama did. Ole Miss did. Ohio State, to a certain extent, put the hammer down against Akron. They just started off slow. I believe that is unexcusable if you're a Power 5 team and a top 25 team to go out and play a team that is not even in your same level of play like that. Ohio State and Akron is one thing. Those are both FBS schools. KU and Linwood, FBS, FCS. It shouldn't have been that way. It should have been like 70-0.
Yeah.
Maybe 73. I'll take 73. A field goal's a field goal. Wasn't disappointed. Not real excited.
Some performances that looked exactly how they should have. Texas 52, Colorado State 0.
I agree with that one.
63, Alabama 0, Western Kentucky.
I could agree with that one.
Ole Miss over Furman 76-0.
Well, again, that's another D Division 1A.
Tennessee played Chattanooga. They won 69-3.
It's 3 points. They gave up too many.
And then I'm going to name this team right here as the winner of the week. They scored more than 14 points.
Iowa.
And that's Iowa winning over Illinois State 40-0.
And I called that.
You did call that.
We'll do a couple real quick after we talk about this, unless that's all we're talking about. Some of our notable picks that we picked to not do so well, or our picks that we picked. I picked Georgia to beat Clemson. I believe you picked Clemson to beat Georgia.
I did.
Georgia beat Clemson pretty handily. I believe you picked North Dakota State to upset Colorado.
I did.
And they didn't. And I'm pretty sure I picked Colorado to win that game. One that I didn't get right, that I know you did, is you picked Penn State to beat West Virginia. I picked West Virginia.
Final on that score was 34-12.
Yep, it was pretty rough, but there was also a huge thunderstorm during the middle of the game. What was another one that we picked?
The ESPN game of the week. Number 7, Notre Dame goes down to Kyle Field to play Texas A&M.
I'm pretty sure we both picked Notre Dame.
We both did.
Notre Dame did win, and it was pretty handedly.
It wasn't.
It
wasn't. They scored their last 10 points with 6 minutes left to win that game. It was tied 13-13. And they scored a touchdown. There was 4 minutes left. They got the ball back on a 4th down that didn't go Texas A&M's way. And Marcus Freeman, the head coach of Notre Dame, kicks the field goal to make it 23-13.
Go to bed.
And
go to bed. Sorry, Doge issues.
Yeah, Doge issues. And then he kicks the field goal, making it a 2-score game with 1 minute and 26 seconds left. Now, do you know what I saw? 1 minute and 26 seconds left in the 4th quarter. The Texas A&M coach told his offensive coordinator to run the ball. Let's get out of here.
Weak team?
I don't know, but I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm fighting for every second on that clock.
Oh, absolutely, as you should.
You don't get to be the coach of these prestigious teams and then give up with 1.5 minutes left to play, even though you're 10 points down.
You know how that looks?
Like he should be looking for a new job?
Let me finish. You don't know how that looks to all of these board members or people that donate. I can't remember exactly what they call boosters.
Sponsors and boosters?
Sponsors and boosters, and to your players. How does that look when you're down 10 points with 1 minute 36 seconds left? I know you're probably not going to win, but let them play. Hit them in the mouth. Punch them in the mouth. What if you get a screen pass that goes for 85 yards and you get a touchdown, you get an onside recovery, kick a field goal, you go to overtime?
Yeah. He gave up.
Anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
You get a pick 6 with 36 seconds left. Or a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Now, if they're kneeling the ball...
They weren't.
And there was like 40 seconds left, and they are obviously kneeling the ball. They're out of timeouts. Okay, at that point, I'm like, all right, cool.
Let's get out of here.
Wave the white flag, you're done.
Yeah.
As you said, that didn't happen.
He gave up. And on live television, you could see him mouth to his offensive coordinator, "Run the ball. Let's get out of here."
That's shitty. You don't do that to those kids.
No. Those kids chose your school to play at. Honor them by letting them play football.
You don't even have good jerseys. Let them play good football.
All right. So a couple other ones real fast. Oklahoma State beat South Dakota State 44-20.
It's closer than I thought it was going to be.
Kansas State beat UT Martin 41-6. I'm going to save a particular game for last.
Okay.
Then you have Arizona putting up 61 on New Mexico's 39.
That's a lot closer than that should have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Iowa, I just mentioned, 40-0. We still have a game that's going to be played tomorrow night. One game is actually going on right now. The LSU.
Let me do a quick
USC.
live checkup because by the time this goes live, this game should be over.
Yeah.
Right now we're looking at 7 minutes left. It is 7-7. USC's running back Woody Marks. That's a funny name. Woody Marks. He's got a touchdown. And if you look at LSU, their quarterback has thrown a ball to Kyron Lacey. Fantasy points! But USC has the ball first and goal at the 5 with 6 minutes and 43 seconds left. We'll see how that goes, and we'll keep you guys updated as the game goes along. Even though by the time this is live, this game should be over or close to over. But we're keeping with the fashion.
Last game we want to talk about before we get to next week's picks and stuff. Miami.
That was an absolute beatdown.
Miami beats Florida 41-17.
That was
Now, we talked about this on the very first and fourth and fifth, seventh and eighth podcasts.
how Florida has the hardest schedule.
How Florida has the hardest schedule. They were at home.
I don't think the swamp is what it used to be. This isn't Tim Tebow running the ball. This isn't Percy Harvin. I think he played for Florida.
Yeah.
This isn't, all those prestigious Florida teams of the years gone by.
It is not.
Not the same coach. It's not Steve Spurrier. He coached the Florida Gators, right?
Yeah.
I don't know all my football facts, but I'm pretty sure what I'm talking about. From what I saw from highlights, this Florida team looked scared.
It does. I just want to point out yardages for each team.
Okay.
So Cam Ward had 385 yards passing, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Damian Martinez, Cam Ward, Mark Fletcher Jr., Jordan Lyle, and A.J. Allen all combined for 144 rushing yards on 33 carries.
Yeah.
Go over to the Florida. So Graham Mertz had 91 yards passing
Jesus.
on 11 attempts or 11 catches on 20 attempts. 91 yards. DJ Legway was the other quarterback who went 3 for 6 for 31 yards. Both of them threw 1 pick. And here's where, their rushing game was not too bad. It was almost on par with what Miami had. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rushers, combining for 28 carries for 139 yards.
What about those defensive numbers?
Those defensive numbers.
I feel like that's where this game is put to bed.
Florida had 1 fumble.
Okay.
On the defensive side of the ball, Florida had 3 sacks Miami had 3 sacks and 8 tackle for losses. On the Florida side, Florida had 1 sack and 2 tackle for losses.
That's a big red flag.
Big red flag, especially for an SEC Florida team who's looking to try to get back to the SEC championship game.
Not this year.
No.
I don't think it's going to happen for Florida. I have them. You know what team actually surprised me if we're talking about games? Vanderbilt.
Oh, beating up on Virginia Tech?
Yes. They look so good.
I want to shout out to Pat McAfee for picking Virginia Tech to win the ACC.
They can still do it. One game does not make a season.
No, but beating a Vanderbilt team does.
That shows a lot for those kids down in there in Nashville, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I think they're somewhere in Tennessee.
I think it's Nashville. I could be wrong. If I am, scold me in the comments. But regardless, that Vanderbilt team came out there to play.
Yeah.
They look good. Their new transfer quarterback they have for New Mexico State played phenomenal. Their defense was in the face of Virginia Tech. They looked like an SEC team that could compete for a championship. Will they? No, it's Vanderbilt. But they looked really good. And I'll die on that hill. That Vanderbilt team looked not like Vanderbilt teams of old.
All right, so moving on to this upcoming week of college football.
Okay.
Let's start with a Friday game that I think has some potential to be really good. BYU SMU.
I like that game. I like SMU in that one. BYU.
They are playing in Dallas.
So. BYU has not been very good of late. Really, ever since they joined the Big 12, they haven't been that scary.
Illustrious.
When they were in the Mountain West, or wherever they were beforehand, they were a contender.
Yeah.
As soon as you have a bunch of teams that are going to punch you in the mouth every single week, I don't think BYU is that good. I think SMU is better than BYU. Again, I don't think SMU is that good. But also being said, I think we in a previous podcast episode we talked about, at least for me, I think SMU has a chance to win the ACC. A very small chance, but they have a chance. BYU does not have a chance to win the Big 12. There's too many potent teams. It's going to be a haul. Anything could happen. It's week 1.
Fair. And then moving into Saturday, first game of the day at 11 a.m. on Fox. Texas rolls up to the Big House.
I think me and you have been pretty steadfast on this one, especially with how Michigan played against who they play. Like Western Michigan.
I think they played Fresno State.
Fresno State.
Yeah.
I felt like they came out a little flat against Fresno State. You're defending national championship.
30-10. That was the final.
That is not a score that you should be proud of. Now, whether or not they were looking forward to Texas, which I could see.
The line on that game is Texas by 6.5.
I agree with that. I think Texas is going to handle Michigan fairly well. You think more? I didn't say the score.
I think it's Texas by 11. I think it's safe to bet 11. And I think it's safe to bet the under because the over-under is 44.5. Texas's offense versus Michigan's defense.
I
think it's a low-scoring affair. I think it's a 24-10 game.
I don't.
Really?
I think it's like 48-35.
Really?
Yeah.
You think Michigan can score 35 points on Texas's defense?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that. We're marking this down.
48-35.
Okay.
That's my final score. What's your final score?
I'm going to say 24-10.
I think even though Texas is technically an SEC team, they're a Big 12 team for the next few years.
Until we get that SEC talent in there.
Until they start getting those SEC players in their roster. Do I think that Texas is a bad team? Absolutely not. Do I think Michigan's a bad team? No.
No, I don't think Michigan's a bad team either. I just think that if I'm going to place money on a game,
I pick Texas.
I pick Texas. Do I pick Texas to cover 6.5? I sure do. Do I bet the over? No, I'm betting under 44.5.
See, I bet the over and I bet Texas covers the spread. So I think realistically, I think Texas drops almost 50. And I think Michigan drops about 30 something, 30, 35. I just don't. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
You're good. Next game on the list, Arkansas
Are they playing?
goes to Oklahoma State.
I think Oklahoma State wins that game. I'm not real big on Arkansas. Fuck. I'm not real big on Arkansas this year. God damn it, hiccups. Sorry. I got Oklahoma 48-24.
Okay. Oklahoma State.
Yeah. I'll be right back. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick.
All right.
Go ahead and give your pick.
My pick. It's happening in Stillwater. I feel like Oklahoma State has the ability, riding a high coming off a 44-21 over South Dakota State. I feel like they can handily pull this game out. But on the other hand, I never want to try to bet against Arkansas. So yeah, I think I will take Oklahoma State to upset Arkansas. We'll do that. Game is a 8-point spread. I think it's 32. Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State does not cover the spread.
What's the spread?
8 points. And the over under is 59.5, so 60. And I got the over because I said 35-32 Oklahoma State. But it's not going to be. They're not going to win by 8. Another game on the list. There's not much.
There wasn't a lot to look at.
Yeah,
this week.
there was not a lot to look at this week. Kansas at Illinois.
It's a 5.5 point spread favoring Kansas. Number 22, Kansas.
It changed.
Did it?
Yeah, Yahoo has them at 6.5 now.
No, really.
Mm-hmm. Over under 55.5.
I got them going the over.
Going the over.
Yeah. If you look at that game last year, KU dismantled Illinois in Lawrence. This one is not in Lawrence. This one is in Champaign. I think it's a trend that repeats itself. I got KU winning like 48-17. That KU team is stout.
So bet the over and bet the spread.
Yep, I'm betting the spread. I got a game after this one I want to talk about. Go ahead and pick your pick. Like, who you got?
For me, Kansas. After what I saw on Thursday night, it's, in my opinion, there's two right now in the Big 12 to beat: KU and Utah.
Yep.
Those are the two teams right now that are they're climbing the mountain, and they're climbing the mountain, and then they're going to have to meet when they get to the top. And that's going to be a game for the ages.
I will say this based off of what I watched. I think there is another dark horse to win the Heisman out of KU, because my pick was Jalen Daniels.
Mhm.
He played fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you see that deep ball he had in like the second or third quarter? I can't remember exactly when, where he just launched it 60 yards down the field straight to Lucas Grimm in the end zone. It was beautiful. Beautiful ball. But you know who my dark horse is?
Neil?
Devin Neal. The dude's a monster. Don't be shocked if there's multiple first round picks in this year's NFL draft out of Kansas. My game I'd like to talk about, and I think this is a pretty big one. It's a rivalry game. It's for the Cyhawk.
Oh, Iowa State?
Yes.
I'll tell you this. If Iowa keeps on the trend of scoring 40 points a game,
Undefeated.
no. Ohio State will beat them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The game in Iowa though.
Oh no. What time is that game?
Iowa State.
Yeah.
That is a 2:30 game. Iowa currently, the spread is 36 points.
Iowa State by 36?
Nope, that is the what's it called?
The over under?
The over-under is 36 points. Iowa by 3.
I would take those. I would take those odds. Yep.
I could see it definitely happening.
Mm-hmm.
There is another game I'd like to talk about this week.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech goes all the way up to wherever the fuck Syracuse, New York is. Georgia Tech goes to Syracuse. They're currently a 3-point favorite. I didn't check the line, but Georgia Tech's favored by 3. Do you think that our boy, Kyle McCord, can beat Georgia Tech?
If Georgia Tech comes out playing like they did against Florida State, then absolutely not.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. It's been an interesting week 1.
Yeah.
Week 0 of college football. I feel like we have a lot of answers for questions that we've had. I feel like there's been a lot of excitement for, I'm just happy that football's back.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a couple things that I'm a little concerned about if we're looking at big name teams. One of those being, again, like we have said already today, Ohio State's offensive line. I think if they don't trim that up, I don't think that they win the Natty. I think they make the college football playoffs. I don't think they win a Natty, which hurts. Clemson's defense, a little rough.
Yeah.
A little rough. It was not pretty watching that game. Another one I have an issue with is West Virginia's offense.
All of West Virginia, the entire team.
The state.
Yeah. Like West Virginia couldn't get the ball going, and they couldn't stop the opponent from scoring.
It was really close until halftime. Halftime happened. There was a weather delay, like a 2-hour weather delay. But that being said, you played a half of football.
Mhm.
One does not simply walk into Mordor and not have a game plan.
Apparently, everyone gets to walk into Huntington or Morgantown.
Morgantown, West Virginia, brother.
Yeah, everybody gets to walk into Morgantown, West Virginia, and get a win. Fucking dude, West Virginia couldn't stop a runny nose.
Fuck off. There was a fly on my beer.
But no, West Virginia couldn't stop a runny nose.
No, it was a lot of rough.
Yeah.
To be perfectly like blank with you, it was rough. There was a couple of games where I'm sitting there scratching my head and going, you should have done a lot better. And then there was other games, like again, like I'm gonna say, Vanderbilt. I thought that's my overachiever of the week.
Yeah, same here.
Vanderbilt played a phenomenal game. Their offense was hitting, their defense was hitting, special teams. It was a knockout, drag out brawl. Sorry, and they showed up.
Yeah.
They looked like an SEC team. They did not look like Vanderbilt.
No.
They looked like a Kentucky team, Mississippi State team. They did like if you told me on the field, if you told me that Saturday that Virginia Tech was going to get beat by Vanderbilt, I would not have believed you.
Oh no.
I have been very down on Vanderbilt, but after that game, I honestly
Vanderbilt could be a mid-tier SEC team this year.
I got Vanderbilt winning 5-6 games.
Yeah, that's
Now,
mid-tier.
I got them possibly making a bowl game. At the beginning of the season, I had them winning like 2-3.
After that showing against Virginia Tech,
They look like they are hungry.
they look like that Wake Forest team from 2-3 years ago.
They look like a competent team that could possibly go to a bowl game, maybe a mid-tier bowl game, and win that bowl game after being kind of mediocre for the past 5-6 years, which is what I love. I love a good underdog story.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, I'm going to be 100% honest with y'all. I'm a KU fan. I'm really high on KU. But being a KU fan, knowing what we went through, this is what it feels like to be a Vanderbilt fan. The 12 of them that exist.
Sorry, Vanderbilt.
Sorry, Vanderbilt. But, same thing with KU. The only thing KU had on Vanderbilt was that KU had a championship winning basketball team every year. So all those basketball fans convert to football. I'm just saying. Also, technically, if you want to get really honest with me, the Kansas City Chiefs kind of help a little bit. Winning 2 Super Bowls in a row and 3 of 5.
Score update. USC and LSU are tied at 10, 29 seconds left in the second quarter.
Last time I checked, it was 10-7.
Yeah, they are tied at 10.
But I'm just happy for college football to be back.
Well,
there are some excited games that I have for this week. There are some teams I think could possibly be on the hot seat for being upset. There's not a lot. Let's be honest here. Week 1, 2, and 3, you really don't have too many powerhouse teams playing each other. It's when you start getting a conference play that you have we got Oregon State. Sorry, they're not in the Pac-12 anymore. But you know what I mean.
You want to talk about 2 more games before the end of the podcast?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Appalachian State goes to Clemson. Could this be 2006 over again?
I don't know if they're going to be able to beat Clemson, but mark my words,
It'd be a lot closer than what everybody thinks.
it'll be a lot closer than it thinks, but that's not what I was going to say. Don't be shocked if Appalachian State ends in the year in the top 25.
Oh yeah.
Don't be shocked.
I know that in our college football playoff bracket, I had Memphis as the group of 5 making the 12 seed.
I can see Appalachian State.
I could see Appalachian State. I also see Boise State.
If you want to talk about a game, you want to talk about a Heisman, the Heisman winner. Ashton Gentry,
Yeah.
the running back out of Boise State, had a phenomenal game. Phenomenal game. The defense at the Boise State's a little That's a game next week I actually would like to talk about. Boise State goes to Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah, they sure do.
That's my upset alert. I could 100% seeing Boise State upsetting Oregon, especially how they showed up against Idaho. Also, there's a little bit of history with that game. I don't know if it's the last time they played, but it was one of the last times they played. There was a fight on the field. LeGarrette Blount punched an Oregon player.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like real hard. He
Yeah,
got suspended for the entire season.
So, to know some numbers.
I was so excited when I heard the sandwich was back. I was like cloud nine.
Welcome to the Credit Commerce, a place where financial progress can happen at the speed of delight.
Madsen
Here we help you achieve your money goals fast, like improving your credit scores in a matter of days fast.
They had one
So you don't
touchdown
have to wait
from the
around to see
quarterback.
your hard work pay off.
And
Was it Nelson?
Well done. Simply scan your screen to
Malachi
experience
Nelson?
Intuit Credit Karma for
Because
yourself.
that was who I've always played as a
Tremendous blocking that offensive line. You see the speed of Ashton Gentry breaks the tackle there with his contact bounce in the low.
22 for
Switches the
31,
ball, which is
280 yards,
fine.
and
So
one
he can use
touchdown
that stiff arm.
Solid
chance
game.
gamble.
French from Georgia Southern with 28.
Gentry, another
50.
huge hole, this time off the right side. He cuts it back. Gentry eluding tacklers. Gets a block. He's got another touchdown.
Now, that's the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks combined had 3 touchdowns between them. The end of the game, it was 56
Really,
to
I'm with you.
45.
This is what
That was
happened
a-
previously. They
it was
had
a lot of
3rd
score.
and 1,
Now-
and they didn't give it to Gentry. And
French
now they finally
Also
do,
had
and there it
16
is.
carries,
Touchdown.
39
He's got
yards.
3 today. That one from a yard out
Ashton Gentry
to add to a 26-yard
20
run
carries
and a
for
77-yard run.
280 or
in the first half still, by the way.
267 yards and 6 touchdowns.
pick
Gentry,
them up in your fantasy if you
he
don't
does.
have them.
Yeah.
Count it.
Yeah, for sure.
4 touchdowns for Ashton Gentry.
Put in work.
And Boise State scores
Put in
yet again.
Work.
The capital. Her.
Yeah.
Gentry,
This
he's in
dude's
this
a
time.
monster.
He
And
is
it's
a
his
monster.
5th of the day. He ties
I
the
believe
school
he's a
record
junior.
with 5 touchdowns, and the Broncos are back in
Don't
front.
be shocked if he doesn't
Boise
go
State.
in the first or second round
Back
of
on
the draft
offense.
if he
Ashton
decides to
Gentry,
declare.
breaks free.
The other team stats
Has a
were
player tracking him down.
Boise
It's
State had
TJ Smith. Can he get to him?
651
Gentry, touchdown.
total
Get
yards
out of town.
to Georgia Southern.
75 yards.
That's
A
still a
new
lot.
school record.
Both of them
6
had
touchdowns
one
today.
Boise State had 23 first downs, and
That's a pretty
Georgia
good
Southern
answer.
had 27 first downs. Georgia Southern had the ball for 31 minutes and 29 seconds to Boise State 20. 39.
Gentry,
That's still really
he's
good.
in this time, and it's his 5th of the day.
Now, for the
He
last game,
ties the school record
I
with
want to talk
5.
about before we end the podcast. Colorado goes to Nebraska.
That is a very, very good game. And if you want my honest opinion here, I think Colorado beats Nebraska.
Nebraska's favored by 7.
All these things are just numbers on a page.
In their first game, Nebraska looked like a complete team.
Exactly.
Can you say the same for Colorado?
Absolutely not. But hear me out here. If Dion can get a hold of his team, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. Colorado in that first game looked very, 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 very sloppy.
The sloppy joes.
There was too many penalties. There were too many miscues. There were too many things that just happened. I watched the highlights. I watched Shedeur Sanders running for his life.
And you don't think he's not going to be running for his life against Nebraska?
And hear me out. I think okay, so hear me out. Realistically, I think Nebraska wins. Optimistically, I think Deion Sanders gets a hold of his team, tells them what's what, and they pull out that win against Nebraska. Dylan Raiola is a beast. That Nebraska team is no slouch. That was a Big 10 versus Big 12 team game. I don't think there's any stretch of the reality of that game going either way. If I had to bet money on it, I would bet Colorado. Only for the fact that Colorado has more offensive firepower.
Okay.
You got Shedeur Sanders, you got Travis Hunter, you got Jimmy Horn Jr., you have their running back, I can't remember his name.
So what if Nebraska comes out, double teams Travis Hunter, plays man coverage the entire time, and puts a spy on the field?
I think Nebraska wins that game.
So you're saying I should be a defensive coordinator for Nebraska?
It could be.
Take Travis Hunter out of the equation.
They still have very solid weapons. You have Jimmy Horn Jr.
They had trouble running against North Dakota State. Do you think they're going to have trouble running against Nebraska?
What if North Dakota State wins the national championship in their division?
Isn't it expected? Haven't they won like the last 9?
I don't think it's quite that. Here, you know, the thing I'd love to see is the not professional, NCAA Division 1 has a national championship. That winner plays the division championship of the Division 2.
Oh, kind of like soccer?
If the Division 2 wins, they go to FBS.
The other one gets demoted to the FCS.
let's say hypothetically, and this is going to be a completely unrealistic thing. Let's say UTEP wins the college football championship. They do all the things, and they play North Dakota State. They've won their national championship in their division. North Dakota State has won their national championship in their division. They both play each other. North Dakota State upsets UTEP. UTEP still stays in the power, like the FBS, but North Dakota State goes up, and whoever was the worst possible team in the FBS goes down.
Indiana.
So hypothetically, in this scenario, let's say North Dakota State goes 11-1 because they lost their first game. They win all the rest of their games. They win their national title. And in this scenario, UTEP, as we're using UTEP, I can't infer this enough. UTEP won't happen. They win the national championship in Division 1. Those two teams play each other. North Dakota State beats UTEP. UTEP stays in their division. North Dakota State comes up. And let's say hypothetically that Illinois goes 0-12. Illinois will go down to Division 2.
Yeah. I'm all for it.
It's the worst team in your division in all of college football, Division 1A. Oh, that's a better idea I just had. So the worst team, they go 0-12, plays the best team in the FBS or FCS. That FCS team plays, let's say, South Dakota State goes 12-0. They play an 0-12 Vanderbilt. Even though that won't happen because they've already won a game. Whoever wins the game gets promoted. Whoever loses the game gets demoted. Wouldn't that be fun? But, with all that being said, I think this is a good time to end it.
Yeah.
I would like to thank everybody for watching this episode of Xing a Huddle with Dan and Jacob. I'm Jacob. He's Dan. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. If you like the video, like the video. If you haven't, join our Discord. Show some love. We'll be doing our picks of the week here coming up. Probably next week, we'll do our top 5 picks. Once college football season starts getting rocking and rolling. My hat fell on the floor. I just want to thank you guys all for watching. Show the support, show the love. We're gonna be doing this every week. Hopefully, as the weeks progress, we're gonna have more games to talk about. And I just want to appreciate y'all.
I also appreciate every single one of our subscribers. We've gotten a few over the course of the last 2 weeks. We appreciate everybody who comes in and clicks that subscribe button. It's going to allow us to go live on YouTube, hopefully soon.
I'd also like to give a special shout out to a few of the viewers who have been here from the get-go. KG Too Smooth. We got Froba.
Rome.
We got one of my buddies who subscribed last week. Vulcan Rifle Works. I think it's his YouTube.
Shout out to my buddy Bob, who just subscribed Thursday night while watching the KU game.
I'd also like to give a shout out to my roommate who just subscribed. I forgot his name for a second. Sorry. I'm struggling here. Leave me alone.
You're all good, man. Words are hard sometimes.
Alex, thank you for subscribing earlier. If you guys know anybody who you would like to possibly have on in our friend group for Cameo, I think I have another camera. We have another camera here. Maybe not a microphone. We could share a mic. Let us know. If there's anything you'd like us to talk about, any games you'd like us to talk about, let us know. Join the Discord. Join in with our picks of the week that we will start picking when people start talking in the Discord.
Yeah, let's get that Discord chat up and running, guys.
Once we do that, we will start doing our thing we have been talking about. Hey, we give you a shout out. We'll send you some merch. I know a guy, me, who can get merch going. I just need a logo. But that all being said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking these videos. I'm Jacob.
I'm Dan.
Let's break this huddle.
Break.